Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the JIMPACT Zone, where it's me, James Gisanti, covering all things Impact Wrestling. We had another fun show tonight. Definitely a little bit filler, but it's hard to say that when your main event is a Monsters Ball match. Guys, it was a bloody mess of a match. I loved it. We're going to get into it. I got to deal with the socials. You know how it goes, but we'll get started talking about the very first match of the night, which was Bullet Club, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay, accompanied by Juice Robinson. Man, that guy's been getting around, taking on Laredo Kid and Trey Miguel. Guys, I very much enjoyed this match. It was really cool to see Bullet Club getting the much needed W. I'm a big fan of Bay. I'm a big fan of Ace Austin. I love Juice Robinson too. I feel they've been a little directionless since they ever since Jay White, the Good Brothers left, it's been a little hard to find their footing, I think. I don't know what their roles are in Bullet Club, but they got a really nice W here. It was a very fun athletic match. Shouldn't surprise anybody. These are four excellent young talents, and man, do they do the flippy shit really, really well. Ace Austin is the guy who carried Impact on his back during the pandemic era, in my opinion. And it's a shame that he's sort of been lost in the shuffle, but man, does he fit Bullet Club well, as does Chris Bay. I'm hoping we see Juice Robinson just a little bit more. I think he's going to add a little bit of weight to this group, a nice little trio, but we'll see what he's doing. I know word on the street is he's not going to be a part of New Japan anymore. That's what he says. I don't know how much I believe that. I feel like I've heard him say that a few times at this point, but if he isn't going to be in New Japan, I do think he'll fit very well in the Impact Zone. Moving on, we had a backstage segment where Bhupinder Gujjar was interviewed by Gia Miller, who, let me just say it now, Gia Miller is the MVP of Impact tonight with the amount of interviews she did backstage. I think she had more TV time than anybody else on the show. Bhupinder has a broken nose, and he will be cleared to compete next week. He's going to be in the Call Your Shot gauntlet match at Bound for Glory, and he wants a shot at the Impact title. I don't know how he deserves it after losing his opportunity at the Digital Media Championship, but hey, everyone's getting a shot, it seems, in this gauntlet match. We have another backstage segment, this time with Frankie Kazarian, AEW's Frankie Kazarian, who is the number one contender for the X Division Championship. It's always good to see Frankie Kazarian, and man, it's always good to see him remind people just how good he actually is. He said that he used Victory Road to prove that he could still hang with everybody. He's an older guy. I get it. I get the concern, but he's officially game after winning that match. Kazarian said that he's going to press the reset button and he's going to become X Division champion once again. I won't lie. I've been loving Speedball's title reign. I've been loving his open challenges. I've been loving all of his defenses, but I think Kazarian is a great fit for the X Division title. I would love to see him win it, but if Speedball can get the win, I think that's going to be a nice feather in his cap and a very big title defense that he could add to the resume. Next up, we had what was, in my opinion, both a very scary segment, but a very awesome segment. We had a random guy in a yellow hood try to attack the announcers, Tom Hannafin and Matt Rewald. Oh my God, I can't get his name out. That's my bad, guys. But it turns out that these guys are from... Oh God, if I haven't had my mic on this entire time. Yep, no, we're good. I have had my mic on this entire time, guys. That would have been bad, and I wouldn't have forgiven anybody for letting this happen. But he attacked the announcers, and he is a representative of Violent by Design. Guys, I've been loving this Violent by Design shtick. I've been loving what they've been doing, and it's cool to see that it's starting to actually integrate itself into the weekly show and not just be a backstage segment. BX, thank you for taking care of me. I was really nervous there, but I appreciate you letting me know I'm good. But yeah, it's starting to amp up. It's exciting to see, and I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing some established names maybe join the group. I think Eric Young being a violent cult leader is a very fun dynamic for him to play. It feels like a natural extension of what he did with Sanity. It feels like the natural next step of what's to come for this group. And I'm very excited to see how he's going to use this to position himself into a position of power in the Impact roster. Moving on, we had our next match of the night, a Impact Digital Media Championship match where Brian Myers defended the title against Crazy Steve. I'm a big fan of Crazy Steve. I love Decay in general, and I thought this was a nice, fun match. Steve had to deal with a cheating Brian Myers who got the W, defending the title, getting the 1-2-3 after a roster cut lariat. Great name, great move. And after the match, Brian Myers issued an open challenge for the X Division for the Impact Digital Media Championship at Bound for Glory. He said, "Whoever answers has to step up to the most professional wrestler." And I love Brian. I'm glad that he's had this nice little run with the title. I have to believe, because this is an open challenge at Bound for Glory, he's gonna lose the belt, and it might be to a debuting guy or girl. Don't know who it could be, but it'll be very exciting to see what happens with the title. I feel like he's done a lot to elevate it with his run with it. We had a backstage segment with Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice, which I'll be honest, guys, I'm kind of going to gloss over just because I don't know what it accomplished, but it did tease the return of Swinger's Palace. So we'll see what goes on with that. We'll see if anything actually happens with that moving forward. We did have what was, again, a highlight here at Impact, another Joe Hendry video segment backstage. Man, for a guy I've known nothing about prior to his Impact run, or prior to his time now here in Impact, I am so excited to see him debut. I am so excited to see how they handle this guy. He seems so fun. He seems so different. They've been handling his debut so different. I am so ready for this. And if you guys have any Joe Hendry suggestions, please let me know. We have another backstage segment. Rosemary talking with Father James Mitchell, complaining that Jessica is just too human, saying that Havoc was more useful than Jessica. Of course, this is overheard by Taya and Jessica, and they confront her. They don't understand why she's been so difficult and why she doesn't want to play along with this trio. And Taya going out on a limb to defend Jessica. I hope that these issues get resolved, because I think the three of them do have a lot of chemistry, and there's something there, and there's something to be done with this group. I don't want to see Rosemary and Valkyrie split up. I think they have such a nice dynamic, but no matter what happens, these are three very talented women, and something good will come from it. We jumped straight into a match between Black Taurus and Delirious. It was a fun match. Delirious definitely, getting the most out of his day in the Impact Zone filming. And the right guy won. Taurus wins with the Destination Hellhole, which I couldn't think of last week, but I am so disappointed in myself for not being able to, because how awesome a name is that move for such an awesome move. Taurus is a guy who has been really picking up wins, a lot of singles wins, a lot of tag wins, and I'm hoping that this allows him to push himself maybe for a world title match down the line. At the very least, I would like to see him reclaim the X Division Championship. I want all the best for Taurus. We had another backstage interview. Gia Miller, God bless you, interviewing Bobby Fish, saying that he is interested in legitimate competition, and there is no one more legitimate than the champion, Josh Alexander. He also said that he has a lot of history with Josh's challenger, Eddie Edwards, and that the best way to get to these guys is by entering the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So we will see Bobby Fish in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which will be in Albany, New York, which just so happens to be Bobby Fish's hometown. I don't know how I'm going to feel if Bobby Fish wins this gauntlet match and gets a title shot against Josh Alexander or Eddie Edwards, but it really feels like that's the direction we're going here, guys. And I don't know how we got here, but we're here. Moving on to another backstage segment, which was just so weird how they cut it. They just literally went from interview to interview. I'm sure there was probably a commercial break in between. I watched it on YouTube, so I don't really know. But Gia Miller interviewing Mia Yim backstage. Mia saying how she was so caught off guard by Mickey's challenge in the last rodeo tour, where if Mickey loses, she retires. Mia says she goes a long way back with Mickey, so much so that she had footage from a very early in her career match between the two at an indie event. And, you know, Mickey won that match, but I don't know if Mia thinks history is going to repeat itself. But Giselle Shaw certainly does. Giselle saying if she couldn't beat Mickie James at Victory Road, there's no way Mia Yim is going to beat her at Bound for Glory. So, you know, we're going to have a match between the two challengers. We're going to have Mia Yim versus Giselle Shaw next week on Impact as a warm-up match for Mia before she faces Mickie at Bound for Glory. We had a in-ring segment this time, I'll take it, with Honor No More. Eddie Edwards leading the charge with OGK, Kenny King, Vincent, PCO, and of course, Maria Kanellis. Eddie Edwards, you know, he's doing his thing. He's talking about how at Victory Road, he beat the champion, Josh Alexander, right in the middle of the ring. Maria plays a very annoying video package of just him getting the pin and hitting the finisher over and over and over again. It was exhausting, but it was a fun little way to annoy the crowd, to annoy the viewer, and it certainly worked. Edwards, of course, then runs down PCO, who lost in his tag match with Vincent against the Motor City Machine Guns, saying how it was his job to weaken them before they get to OGK at Bound for Glory. He just keeps going and going and going until Vincent has to put the bag on PCO's head. This is going to erupt sooner than later. It's probably going to erupt at Bound for Glory. I am very ready to see PCO out of this group. I am very ready to see this shtick over. I really do like Honor No More. I've always said I never felt PCO fit in, and the crowd is way too behind PCO to keep him in this role. Let him do what he needs to do. Let him break free and let that turn into a fun match. Josh Alexander, having heard enough, after Eddie Edwards talking all the crap that he had to talk, Josh Alexander comes out and confronts Eddie, saying how Eddie was once in his exact spot. He was Impact champion. He was representing Impact, and how he might think he has the numbers game right now. You know, he has Honor No More flanking him, but it's truly Josh Alexander who has a numbers game because he has the entire Impact zone behind him. Eddie Edwards challenges that, saying, if you think you have the numbers game, come to the ring right now. And Josh Alexander must have been feeling really brave because he did. He's taking out all of Honor No More before the numbers game finally catches up with him. One by one, he starts to get support. Rich Swann, who gets overwhelmed. Then it's Heath who gets overwhelmed. It isn't until the Motor City Machine Guns come out and the numbers are sort of even that they're able to reclaim the ring and kick Honor No More out. It was a nice segment. A little foolish, but it shows the balls that Josh Alexander has. That's what you want from your champion. And it's going to be an excellent match between Josh Alexander and Eddie Edwards next week at Bound for Glory. After the commercial break, we have PCO and Vincent taking on Rich Swann and Heath. This was a nice match. This was a fun match. And it ended with, you know, again, setting up for PCO to maybe have his little split because he clotheslines Heath out of the ring, but he clotheslines himself along with it. And that allows Rich Swann to hit a spinning kick on Vincent and then a Phoenix splash, which I got to tell you guys was beautiful, and gets the 1-2-3 pinning Vincent at the end of the match. It sucks to see PCO keep taking these losses. I get it's to serve the story at hand. I'd rather that we see him winning, and maybe that builds some resentment with the rest of the team. But I get the story they're going for. It's nice to see Heath and Rich Swann get the wins. Swann desperately in need of wins at this point. So this is just keeping the story in play until we get to Bound for Glory next week. Backstage, again, Gia Miller interviewing Moose. Finally, Moose admits to having a partnership with Steve Macklin, that he was going to help Macklin with Callahan. And Macklin was going to help Moose with Callahan. And in turn, Moose was going to help Macklin win the Collier Shot Gauntlet. But since that went to hell, now Moose is entering the Collier Shot Gauntlet. We're getting a lot of names for this gauntlet match at the pay-per-view, guys. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to win. We have a lot of real, genuine contenders in this match, so it's going to be exciting. Macklin interrupts the promo, and they get into a brawl that needs to be stopped when security gets there. We cut to Sami Callahan confronting Scott D'Amore backstage, saying that there's unfinished business clearly between the three. And you know what? Scott, being the smart man that he is, agrees. And next week, we're going to get Callahan's special referee in a match against Macklin and Moose. It'll be fun. We'll see what happens. Somehow I see Callahan being the one who gets knocked out. But with that broken orbital bone, let's see if he's going to take any bumps. And now, finally, the main event. We have Masha Slamovich taking on Allie Katch in a Monsters Ball. Let me quote Jordan Grace here. Match! That was really weird. I don't know why she did that last week. But this was everything you want out of a Monsters Ball match. It was brutal. It was bloody. There were weapons. There was destruction. There were thumbtacks. Everything you would want out of this type of match, you got it. I was very impressed with Masha Slamovich. She continues to impress as she continues to dominate her way through the Knockouts division. And it was nice to see Allie Katch get TV time, being a GCW primary wrestler, to get some new eyes on her. She's known for her hardcore wrestling. She's known for her very brutal style, and man, did she bring it here. These women went through doors. They got hit with chairs. They got hit with garbage can lids. The best spot, I think, was when Masha Slamovich poured out the thumbtacks, poured some into her mouth, spit them out, and then she herself gets pile driven head first into the thumbtacks. I don't know what Allie was thinking with that move. I think she got more thumbtacks in her butt than Slamovich got in her head. And you know what? I think it cost her, because eventually a Russian leg sweep through the table on the outside led to the eventual win by Masha Slamovich taking on Allie Katch and getting the 1-2-3. Guys, this was a nice match. I cannot wait to see Masha and Jordan Grace slap meet next week. It's going to be exciting. Bound for Glory is really aiming to be a strong pay-per-view. I'm very excited to see what comes next. This is... Oh, God, I totally missed the comment section. Eric, PCO is not 78 years old. Heath is Heath Slater. And Moose did not get beaten by a woman for the title. That was Sami Callahan. But guys, thank you so much for joining me here in the JIMPACT Zone. Once again, next week being Bound for Glory, I am going to be covering Bound for Glory. I might have some guests here in the JIMPACT Zone, and I will be doing a predictions video to give you what my picks are on who's going to win at Bound for Glory. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to be your host. I'm James Gisanti. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below.